The Peanuts movie. The film is preceded by an Ice Age short. The other kids in the neighborhood, Lucy, Hadley, Belle Miller, Linus, Alex Garfin, Peppermint Patty, Venus Schultheis, Marcy, Rebecca Bloom, Schroeder, Noah Johnston, Franklin, Marleik Walker, Frieda, Francesca Capaldi, Violet, Madison Shipman, Patty, Anastasia Bredikhina, and Pigpen, AJ Teese, among others, go skating on the lake and play some hockey. Charlie Brown, Noah Schnapp, is taking out his kite, not caring that it's winter. As he gets the kite airborne, he trips and slides onto the ice before getting his kite stuck in the kite-eating tree. Lucy calls Charlie Brown a blockhead and criticizes his decision to fly a kite. The kids continue skating as Snoopy joins in. Charlie Brown decides to prove that he can play as well as the other kids. He is in the baseball field with Snoopy as they set up a snowman as practice for Charlie Brown's pitch. Snoopy gets in the snowman and throws the ball back at Charlie Brown, knocking him over. Moments later, a moving van pulls in across the street from Charlie Brown's house. The other kids gather behind the fence to catch a glimpse of the new kid. Charlie Brown only hopes that the new kid doesn't know about him and that he can start over with a clean slate. He then leans forward and causes the whole fence to collapse, and the other kids ditch him. At school, Linus brings a toy plane for show and tell. Charlie Brown accidentally causes the plane to fly across the room, knocking over some paint onto Lucy and ruining Frieda's naturally curly hair. The teacher then announces that the new kid is joining the class. It is the little red-haired girl, also Francesca Capaldi. Charlie Brown immediately becomes smitten with her. The teacher then gives the class a test. The little red-haired girl is the first to finish. Her pencil rolls over by Charlie Brown's feet, and he notices that her pencil has bite marks just like his. Outside, Snoopy is trying to sneak into the school. He gets into the classroom through the ceiling, but is exposed when he gets his paw caught in a binder and he screams. Lucy throws him out into the dumpster, where he finds a typewriter. Charlie Brown then finishes the test with 1 minute left at the same time as Peppermint Patty. They forget to write their names on the test and quickly write them down. Snoopy takes the typewriter home and starts to write a story with Woodstock. Snoopy sees Linus's toy plane and is inspired to write an adventure where he faces his nemesis, the Red Baron. In his story, Snoopy takes on his ace pilot persona and gets Woodstock and his bird crew to assemble his doghouse plane to impress the lovely poodle Fifi, Kristen Chenoweth. Charlie Brown wants to get the little red-haired girl's attention, but he is too nervous and insecure to go talk to her. He tries saving a seat for her on the bus, but he cowers and crawls away. Snoopy tries to help him walk across the street to her house and give her a flower along with her pencil, but Charlie Brown is still too nervous. He finds Lucy offering psychiatric help for 5 cents. She tells him that, in order to get a girl's attention, he has to project self-confidence. Charlie Brown learns from Sally that there is a talent show coming up as she is practicing a rodeo performance. He decides to practice doing a magic act to impress the little red-haired girl. On the day of the show, Charlie Brown is ready to do his magic act, but Sally's act is doing poorly with the kids. Franklin threatens to drop the curtain on her, but as Charlie Brown sees his sister crying, he decides to give up his act and put on a cow sheet over himself and use Snoopy to be her horse, turning the act into a hit but also embarrassing Charlie Brown. Snoopy continues his story with him facing off against a Red Baron as they take their battle to the skies. Snoopy soars through Paris in his pursuit of his enemy while also trying to win the heart of Fifi. Peppermint Patty calls Charlie Brown to ask him to bring cupcakes to the winter dance. As he can see the little red-haired girl dancing from her window, Charlie Brown decides he needs to learn how to dance so they can have their own dance together. With Snoopy's help, Charlie Brown manages to learn a few new moves. On the night of the winter dance, Charlie Brown brings his cupcakes, but Snoopy eats them all. Charlie Brown spots Peppermint Patty and Marcy carrying a punch bowl, which he helps them with, getting his shirt caught in the door. Nobody is dancing until Sally tries to get Linus to dance with her. Franklin calls on the girls to dance to choose the winner on the girls' side. The little red-haired girl is the winner. Charlie Brown gets unstuck and goes out to show off his moves. He ends up dancing nicely until he slips on some punch, causing his shoe to fly off and hit the sprinklers, ruining the dance. The results of the test are posted on the board. Charlie Brown receives a perfect score, making everyone think he is a genius and earning him celebrity status, to the point where Sally makes merchandise to sell. At the same time, the kids are assigned a book report, and Charlie Brown is partnered with the little red-haired girl. However, she is away for the weekend to visit her grandmother, so Charlie Brown decides he ought to do the book report himself before she gets home. He asks Peppermint Patty for a good book suggestion after Marcy read her off a list of suggestions. Peppermint Patty tells him to look for Leo's Toy Store by War and Peace. Charlie Brown heads to the library to find the book, only to learn from Marcy that he is looking for War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. It's a massive book on the top shelf. Charlie Brown pulls it off and knocks over the shelf. He then slides the book home with him on his sled. After reading the book non-stop, Charlie Brown tries to start the book report. He makes a few unsuccessful first tries, but he eventually writes the full 1,000 words. On Monday morning, the school has an assembly for Charlie Brown's perfect score, for which he will receive a gold star. He spots the little red-haired girl in the audience, and he knows he'll finally get her attention. Marcy presents Charlie Brown with the test, but he recognizes the answers in smiley face form as being from Peppermint Patty. He reluctantly admits to everyone that there was a mistake and that he doesn't deserve the gold star. During recess, Charlie Brown laments the mistake to Linus. The little red-haired girl comes by as the boys talk about the book report. Charlie Brown leans against the seesaw where the book report is resting, causing it to fly into the air and get shredded as the toy plane passes by. A distraught Charlie Brown grabs the shredded pieces and dejectedly walks away. In the next chapter of Snoopy's story, he continues to pursue the Red Baron. Unfortunately, Fifi is taken in the process in the villain's Zeppelin, leaving Snoopy to have to rescue her. The winter passes and spring arrives. A little boy asks Charlie Brown if he's ever flown a kite. Despite his bad experiences with kites, Charlie Brown helps the boy successfully fly the kite on his own. The boy gives Charlie Brown the kite to fly for a bit, but he accidentally lets go of the string. Snoopy reaches the end of his story. He and the Woodstock crew fly high for a final showdown with the Red Baron. Snoopy's plane gets shot down, but he gets back up to the sky with the crew to shoot at the Red Baron's plane. The plane with Fifi in it starts to break apart, and Snoopy must decide to either rescue her or defeat his nemesis. Snoopy swoops down and rescues Fifi, winning her heart and becoming a hero. Lucy finishes reading the story, saying it is dumb. Snoopy throws the typewriter at her as she walks away. She comes back angrily, only for Snoopy to kiss her nose and annoy her more. It's the last day of school. The kids are picking partners for a pen pal assignment over the summer. Patty picks Pigpen while Lucy goes for Schroeder. When Charlie Brown's name is called, nobody volunteers until the little red-haired girl speaks up and says she will be his partner. Charlie Brown is left stunned as the bell rings and summer begins for the kids. They go next door to the carnival where Charlie Brown asks Linus why the little red-haired girl would want to be partners with him. Linus says that maybe all of Charlie Brown's insecurities are in his head and that people actually like him. Inspired, Charlie Brown runs to the home of the little red-haired girl with her pencil, only for her mom to tell him that she is headed for the bus to summer camp. Charlie Brown races across the neighborhood to get to the little red-haired girl before her bus leaves. He encounters a number of obstacles in the way before he realizes he's never gonna make it to her in time. He bangs his head on a tree and asks for help just this once. A kite falls down from the kite-eating tree, and the string wraps around Charlie Brown. He uses the kite to gain flight and help him make his way to the bus, with all the kids following. He makes it to the bus, and he finally talks to the little red-haired girl. Charlie Brown asks her why she would volunteer to be his pen pal. She says that she admires all the qualities he demonstrated throughout the school year, helping Sally at the talent show, his bravery at the dance, and his honesty at the assembly. The little red-haired girl assures Charlie Brown he's a good guy. Before she leaves, he gives her back her pencil, for which she is thankful. After the bus leaves, the kids praise Charlie Brown, and even Lucy admits that he's still full of surprises. The kids lift Charlie Brown into the air and carry him away like a hero. During the credits, Lucy asks Charlie Brown to kick the football out of her hands. Knowing she's just going to pull it away, he refuses, but Lucy tells him that she would never pull the ball away from someone with so many good qualities. Charlie Brown goes for it, only for Lucy to pull the ball away. She tells him he's gullible, but he just smiles. We also see Snoopy celebrating his victory with Fifi and his other dog friends, only for the Red Baron to fly on down and spill Snoopy's root beer on him, while also giving the dog a thumbs up. Snoopy shakes his fist and curses his nemesis. Finally, after the credits, Linus's toy plane finally runs out of battery and falls into the pond.